And let's go out to the phone lines. He is fast becoming one of our favorites. Yep. Brian Geltzeiler, Sirius XM radio host. Brian, thanks again for joining us. Really appreciate it, man.
My pleasure, guys. How we doing?
We're all right. Well, my co-host is a little disappointed because Andre Iguodala is back for the Warriors, but he's taking minutes from some of their young players, and he doesn't think he's got anything left. Is there any chance Iguodala can help the Warriors down the stretch?
Well, all right, so, Darryl, let me get more specific with you. Who are you upset? Whose minutes are you upset that he's taking?
Mainly Kuminga, and we could see Jordan Poole at the end of the game, so a combination.
All right, well, I will say this. The one problem that you have here regarding Poole and Kuminga is that neither of them are very good defensively. And what the Warriors suffer from off their bench are guys that can't guard. And I don't disagree about Iguodala definitely not having a ton left in the tank here. I think that there's some validity to that. With all that said, he hasn't played much this season, so he certainly doesn't. There's not a lot of tread on this year's tires. And the Warriors are a now team. This is it. You got Steph Curry, you got Klay Thompson, you got Draymond Green. You're in the 5 seed right now. You're 34-31. You can't win a game on the road to save your life. And when your defense isn't great when your starter's in there, it's terrible when your bench is in there. So having a guy like Iguodala, who at least may not be as athletic and quick as he once was, but has the defensive smarts and the awareness to help out on that end of the floor, they need every bit of help they can get defensively, especially on the road. The Warriors, what the scary part about them, got 7-24 on the road. And when you watch them play on the road, I don't even think there's a ton wrong with their offense on the road. The level of defensive intensity, the level of connectedness, the communication, those are things that aren't there on the road that are there at home by and large. I kind of feel like Iguodala can help out with some of that stuff. And again, if you're a tomorrow team and a team for the future, yeah, there is absolutely no reason to be, you suffer with whatever you have to with Kuminga and Poole down the stretch with some of the weaknesses defensively with those two. But the Warriors they are, as of this year and as of this moment, they are still a now team. Andre Iguodala helps you defensively now.
Brian, I'm curious to get your answer to this next question. As you know, Andrew Wiggins, speaking of defense, arguably their best defender, he's out, and we're respecting the family time and the things he's dealing with. But there's 17 games left, Brian, and I'm wondering, how are you looking at this Warrior team and him coming back to the team and them being whole as they go into the playoffs? Is that a concern?
It is a concern. First of all, they don't win a round of these playoffs without a healthy Andrew Wiggins and without him on the floor and without Wiggins, being in the condition you need him to be in. I mean, you guys saw what I saw last year. In last year's championship team, the second most important player on the Warriors was Andrew Wiggins. He was also, all due respect to the great Draymond Green, who has put up some of the best defensive seasons I've ever seen in my life. Okay, he was better defensively last year for the Warriors than even Green was. He was that good. So they're going nowhere without Andrew Wiggins. But, everybody's respecting his privacy, as we all should. We don't know when he's going to be back. And listen, when he's been there this year, in most of the season, even when he's played, he hasn't been healthy. So Wiggins it's the issue no one's really talking about it. Certainly, I don't know about in your area, in the Bay Area there, but I know that outside, you're not hearing a ton of talk about what's happening with Wiggins regarding the Warriors. It's a major loss for the Warriors to not have Andrew Wiggins. I just went through my whole diatribe of all the problems on the road defensively. A healthy, engaged, well-conditioned Andrew Wiggins solves some of those issues.
Brian Geltzeiler joining us on 95.7 The Game. He's a Sirius XM radio host. Let's take a little trip around the league. Is Memphis salvageable?
Yeah, well, okay, Matt. It's a great question. All right, this year, maybe not. Future-wise, absolutely. You have it. Listen, he's a 23-year-old kid, Moran. All right, he's at a major crossroads career-wise at a young stage in terms of having to mature. Who am I going to surround myself with? You had a very interesting report from Shams Charania, The Athletic, yesterday about a players-only meeting where Steven Adams was imploring Ja, to stop going out on the road, just to be more part of what the team was doing in terms of being rested and understanding the stage of the season. Listen, I don't pretend to know a lot about Ja Morant's background, and so I'm very careful. I know a lot of people have taken shots at his father. Listen, we're all parents here, guys, right? Okay? Yep. I got 4 kids. I can tell you, I'm not a perfect parent. So I'm not going to go there with Team Morant. I don't think that's the right thing to do. I don't know enough about the situation to pass judgment on another father. But I will also say this. I think for Ja, he's got too much on the ball, not only as a basketball player, but as a teammate, a leader. Everything you hear about him is that it's not only about his basketball ability and his athletic ability, it's about his intellectual approach to the game. It's about how he sees the floor. It's about the film work that he does. He's really a team leader, and he's a very good teammate. There's a lot there that's good about Ja Morant. He's just got to grow up. And I think sometimes we forget, we look at these guys on a basketball court, we see grown men, but there's still some little boy in them, and some of where they grew up and what they went through. Listen, it's a part of all of us as we get older, right? But for guys that are younger, it's more of a part of them than maybe we want to see or would like it to be. I think Memphis, listen, there's a chance they're fine this year. There's a chance that we turn around in a week and a half, he's back, and all of a sudden they're winning games again and things pull together. Because the other point you got to remember about them is that Steven Adams matters a ton to that team. And they've been without him for a while. 17 games they've been without him. And they have not been good without Steven Adams. He is a very important player to what they do on both ends of the floor. He is their main glue guy. He's not necessarily their second best player, but he may be their second most important player. So you have some things that have gone wrong there. Is it likely to be salvageable this year? Probably not, because of the fact the conference is still pretty tough, but it wouldn't surprise me to turn around and all of a sudden have them play really well in the playoffs, and we're looking up and they're in a conference final.
Brian, I need your help on this one. The city of Sacramento has been good to me. I've raised 2 beautiful kids there. I love the Mike Brown story. I love Fox and Sabonis. I've been to some games, Brian, and I'm looking at the standings. And offensively, they're awesome. And they're a half game from the 2 seed. But, Brian, they can't guard, but yet they're 38-25. So this is no shade, but I'm asking you, is that good for the league that they can't guard and they're almost a 2 seed? And how serious of a threat are they?
Okay, so 2 different questions. It's not bad for the league. Listen, that has been a franchise that has been a poor franchise and an unsuccessful franchise for a whole lot of years. I'm going on 20 years, guys. There's been nothing good going on there. And now there's a lot of great stuff going on there. And they're exciting and they're fun and they have all-star players and they have a really good coach that you guys know a lot about in Mike Brown. So the fact that they can't guard and they're still having success in the regular season, some of that's a product of the rules, and the rules favor offenses and not defenses, and they play really well fast, and the rules favor fast-paced teams and not slow-paced teams. So some of that is the way the league wants it, because they're exciting and the league wants exciting. So it's good for the league. With that said, if I'm a lower seed, I'm not afraid of them in the playoffs because of what you just said. They just don't have a lot of good individual defenders, and that is the fundamental problem with them. I love Domantas Sabonis. He's a fun player to watch. He is a gifted offensive player, a physical rebounder. He's really bad defensively, guys. I mean, he's the main reason they stink defensively. And then you look at how much they count on a rookie like Keegan Murray. Keegan Murray's a really good player. And to me, I think he's going to be an all-star in this league sooner rather than later. But as a rookie in this league, he can't guard anybody either right now. So you're really counting on, Fox, Barnes, Herter to carry the ball defensively for you. It's tough. Maybe they can use Davion Mitchell a little more, but you're taking better offensive players off the floor. Yeah. With that said, they have an identity. They know who they are. But if I'm the Warriors, who would you rather see in the first round? The Kings, the Grizzlies, or the Suns? I'll take the Kings out of those 3 teams every time. And that's going to be the issue with the Kings, because they're likely to run into the Kings in the first round. it's either going to be the Warriors, the Mavericks, or the Timberwolves probably. They would have a shot. I think they could beat Minnesota in a playoff series. I don't think they could beat Golden State. And that's with Golden State being terrible on the road. I don't think they can beat Golden State, and I don't think they can beat Dallas in a playoff series.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think every Warrior fan right now would love to have a 6-3 matchup against Sacramento in the first round. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Let me ask you this, Brian. I don't know where you are on the Warriors' chances to win it all, but assuming they fall short, what do you think their undoing is going to be? What do you think is going to get them beat in a playoff series?
Well, all right. So I think, first of all, there's two things that can happen. And one you can't predict, and one is kind of predictable and in front of our faces. What you can't predict is that somebody gets hurt. When you're counting on three guys well into their 30s, as they are, with Curry, Thompson, and Green, that's always out there. It really is. And now you have a situation where you may not have Wiggins in tip-top shape coming back. And, where it's thinnest, it tears. So to me, that's the unpredictable part, but that's where they could really get hung up. The other thing is that, and you guys have watched it, this is not the same defensive team it was last year. I mean, they're 14th in defensive efficiency right now. Last year they were first. They're just a different group defensively. And, one of the names we haven't brought up in talking about the Warriors here is Gary Payton. They made a trade for Gary Payton. They traded a guy that was once a very valuable asset in James Wiseman to bring him in. We don't even know when Payton's going to play. And they're going to need Gary Payton out there as well coming off that bench. And I'm a huge DiVincenzo fan. I've told you guys that before. But without Payton out there as another stopper, without Wiggins out there, they're flat out not good enough defensively. They just don't have the requisite defensive personnel to be able to get the kind of stops that they have to get to beat the teams that they're going to have to beat in this conference. I mean, this is all, with Phoenix being upgraded here, it's upgraded the whole conference. And the other thing is this, and again, I don't think Dallas can stop anybody either, so I'm not afraid of them in the playoffs. They still have Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. So, they certainly have the ability in a series to outscore you. Here's what I will say about the Warriors. You could say this about a handful of teams out there right now, but the Warriors are one of them. They can beat anyone, the Warriors. I just think the odds are very, very slim that they can come out and beat everyone.
Brian, let me hit this kind of random, but every time I watch this team play or I see highlights, I'm like, why is he still doing it? And I'm going to shock my partner with this question, but it's San Antonio and Popovich, who's one of the greatest coaches to ever do it. And I'm watching the Spurs, and I know Wembanyama is out there, but I'm like, why is he even subject himself to this? Why wouldn't he retire and come back to a different team? So when I say Popovich to you and the current Spurs, does his whole legacy take a hit because they're having some down times? Talk to me about what you think about Pop in the current state of the Spurs.
It's a good question, Tara. I mean, I think Greg Popovich, he likes what he has in San Antonio. I think he feels a loyalty to the Holt family. I think he likes the organizational control that he has there. I think he genuinely likes night in and night out being on the sidelines coaching players. And I think in some ways, this is almost burden-free coaching. There's literally zero expectations. You're expected to lose games and not win them. So what happens there? Pop right now is in the business of how much better can I get Keldon Johnson? How much better can I get Devin Vassell? How much better can I get Jeremy Sochan? How much better can I get Malachi Brown? Like, that's where he is right now. This has become a player development situation. And I think for Pop, there's a level of enjoyment in that. I think he likes players, he likes kids, he loves being around the game. And for him, the other part of this is, and I think he looks at it, he might have lost his wife a few years back. Like, Pop kind of looks at, what else am I going to do? You know what I mean? I'm going to drink wine. I like this. I'm having fun. I like being around kids. I like being around the game. And these are the people I've always worked for, the people I'm comfortable working for. I don't know that I need to run into a stressful competitive situation. And if Pop can be around when this thing turns around, how great would that be for him? So on some kind of bizarre level, I kind of get it, Darryl. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I think you're right on, and maybe he's, maybe if he builds another dynasty with Wembanyama, I mean, then that seals a legacy. Obviously,
correct. It's a heck of a way to leave it, right?
Exactly. Hey, Brian, man, thank you so much as always. Love your stuff, and people can hear you on Sirius XM. You're an NBA radio host. Thank you so much, man.
Always my pleasure, guys.